everybody? Chris Cox here. Can't believe it, but this is the last song from Kiss, Rockin' All Over. So this is the final lesson for that entire album. I've never learned an entire record in my life. So, of course, might as well be this one. It's my favorite album of all time. So we're going to do Baby Driver today. The tuning is E flat, but you will have to do a little bit of fine tuning to play along with the record or the lesson because I'm tuned to the album. So let's go ahead and get started with all those killer Ace Frehley guitar licks and phrasing. There's a ton of them in this song. So here we go, Baby Driver. Okay guys, here's a low E if you want to play along with the album and this lesson, so that way you won't do any fine tuning. Okay, so the very first part of the song just starts off with a G5 power chord just kind of droning like this. Now, that's going to be 3rd fret of the low E, 5th fret of the A, and you're just, but you're stopping that chord, you know, with your palm, muting that in between, so you're not letting it ring very long. Once you do that, I think it's maybe 3.5 measures, I believe. That part's going to be 5th fret of the D and G string to 3rd fret of the D and G string. You can just flatten out your ring finger and then grab, you know, flatten out your first finger on the 3rd fret. So, and that's the very introduction part of the riff. So the next part, we're doing this is the first fill of the song, first guitar fill. Now this is just going to be a. Now what you're doing here is you're going to have your middle finger on the 5th fret of the G, ring finger is going to be on the 5th fret of the B. You're playing those two strings together, but you're pulling the strings in a downward motion. So you know how usually a lot of times when we're doing bends, we're bending up. In this case, you're going to be pulling down, and it's just you're kind of rocking your wrist back and forth as those two notes ring out. And the second guitar fill is going to sound like this. So we're doing kind of some pick scrapes. You know, that's just basically where you're laying your fingers across the strings, but you're not actually pressing down to fret the notes, and you're just, you know, kind of quick down up strums with the right hand. And Ace does I think a total of 4 strums, but it's down, up, and then a down. So when you hit that last down, you're doing a. And that's going to be 5th fret of the G string, 5th fret of the B string, and you go to 3rd fret of the G string and B string. But when you get to the 3rd fret, you're going to pull, you're going to let those two strings ring, you're going to take your first finger and kind of pull it down to get a little bit of a bend on those two notes. Okay, so we have this so far. Kind of repeats again. So the same thing again, same notes we played at the beginning, but repeats. And then you do a. That's going to be 5th fret of the D, 3rd fret of the D, and then hammer on from 3rd to 5 on the D. Third guitar fill. So we do that same thing that we were doing earlier, that little pick scrape, and it's going to be in the same spot, the 5th fret of the G and B string to the 3rd fret of the G and B string. You'll see there's a common theme with all these fills. So we do a, now that's a little bit tough because you're basically doing we're bending in a different direction this time. So we're back here to the 5th fret of the G and B, and we're doing a, So you're bending both of those strings up slightly, coming back down and pulling off to the 3rd fret of the G and B. So after you do that bend, you come to the 5th fret of the D, and then you come back and do 5th fret of the G and B, back to the 3rd fret of the G and B. And then we come back here to the 5th, 3rd, 5th. Then back to the 3rd, and then we go here to the F5, which is... And then we go into the 2nd verse. So after let's play that lick again slow. F5, which is the 1st fret of the E, 3rd fret of the A. And then you're just going to take that chord, move it down a half step, which is an F sharp 5. That's going to be 2nd fret of the low E, 4th fret of the A, and then back to the G5. The 2nd verse, and I'm just going to count these guitar fills all over again. So we're going to say 2nd verse, 1st guitar fill of the 2nd verse. That way it's a little easier to keep up with, I think, that way. So we're back into that. Same lick we did earlier. And that's, again, 5th fret of the G, 5th fret of the B, play those 2 strings together and just rock that back and forth. Now, the next part, we go back into, you can, to get this next lick, you could jump up here after you play that. It'll be easier for you to grab this next fill. So that's a G5 power chord as well, just played up an octave higher. That's going to be 10th fret of the A, 12th fret of the D. And we're just doing the same thing. But we're going to go, we're playing still the same G minor pentatonic scale up here. We're just playing up higher, same notes as up here, just up higher on the neck. And it's going to be... So you're going to play this note here. It's the 17th fret of the G, 18th fret of the B string, and you're playing those 2 strings together. Now, when you do the bend is only occurring on the G string. The pinky finger here on the 18th fret stays anchored, so you do a... And then you repeat that again. So I bend it up once, and then I bend it up again, and add a little vibrato. That next part, you're doing a... So you're bending up, you're letting that note go up, let it come back down, and you're going to pull off from 17 to 15 on the G. And then you're going to finish there on the 17th fret of the D before you jump back up here and grab those chords that we learned earlier. So that's D and G on the 5th fret of the D and G string to the 3rd fret. So most of these licks that Aces play, they're double stops. So it's kind of like chordal type licks where you're basically playing 2 notes together. So we're in the 2nd verse. We've just finished up the 2nd guitar fill into the 3rd guitar fill, and it sounds like this. So we're back up here again in that G minor pentatonic scale, still working with the G and B strings. So we're playing here on the 6th fret of the G and B and do a, and you're sliding from 6 to 5, and then you're coming here to the 3rd fret of the G and B. So it's just slide with your ring finger from 6 to 5. and then you'll grab the 3rd fret here with the flattening out the 1st finger. So that's going to be the 1st part. Slide, come back to the 5th, back to the 3rd, to that little bend. So on that 2nd part, so that's going to be 5, 3rd, 3rd to 5 hammer on the D string. Now we're on to the 4th guitar fill of the 2nd verse, so it sounds like this. So we're here at the 3rd fret of the G and B string. We do that pull down again. Now when we hit this G note here on the 5th fret of the D, you do this, you kind of slide, let it trail off. And now we're just doing hammer-ons from 3 to 5 on the A string, 3 to 5 on the D string. So 3rd to 5, A, 3 to 5, D, 3rd fret of the G. Then we're going to do a bend up here on the 5th fret of the G. So that's going to be a slight bend, come back down, go back to the 3rd fret of the G, and do, so it's going to be 5th, 5th, 3rd, 5th fret of the D, and then we're going to hammer on from 3rd to 5 on the G. So play what we have so far. 3rd fret of the G, and then we're into the 5th guitar fill. Next fill. So that's going to be, again, in the same vein of everything else. We're doing here 5th fret of the G and B. So 5th fret to 3rd fret of the G, B, and then you're going to pull those 2 notes down. Now we're bending up this time on the 5th fret of the G and B, so we go up. So that's going to be kind of the same thing we already played, just a slight variation. So you bend up and pull off to the 3rd fret of the G and B, and then come back quickly to the 5th fret of the G, B. So when you do that, come back again. We played in those other licks too. Is the 5th fret of the D string to the 3rd fret, and then hammer on from 3rd to 5. So let's play that slow. Then we do this. 3rd fret of the D, 2nd fret, 1st fret, and then we kind of slide down to the 7th fret of the G, and then we're going into the chorus. So alright, see, this is the chorus, so it goes. So let's go over those. So first is going to be here on the 10th fret of the D string, 12th fret of the G string. That is a C5 power chord. You're just doing a, and then you're going to move everything down 2 frets, a whole step, to the 8th fret of the D string, 10th fret of the G, 2 down strums, and then we come here to the 10th fret of the A, 12th fret of the D string to play a G5. Then we go 2 frets down here to the 8th fret of the A, 10th fret of the D. Come back here to the C5, which is 10th fret of the D string, 12th fret of the G, back to the G, and then it repeats again. Then it finishes here. That's going to be a D5, so that's 5th fret of the A, 7th fret of the D string. Okay, so those are, again, more double stops. And I should say underneath that, if you didn't want to play that lead part, you're just going back to that G5 and doing... That's all that's going on underneath that. So we come here to the 17th fret of the G string, and then we're going to anchor here at the 15th fret of the B, and we do a... So no bend here on the B string, just a bend on the G. You're going to bend up, let those 2 notes ring together. And then we're going to go down 2 frets here to the 15th fret of the G, 13th fret of the B. So we have this. Quick bend. And we're just kind of walking down. Then we're going to go here to the C here, 13th fret of the G, 11th fret of the B. So we have this. Then we shift here to the 10th fret of the G, and here's going to be the anchor here at the 8th fret of the B. So we have this. So when you do that first little bend, it's just, then come back, just play the 10th fret of the G, and then play again. Come back one more time before you shift back down here to the high part. So just, I'll play for the whole part slow. Okay, so that's that main melody. You know that, that's how the song chorus is out. So we've already covered that part. So that melody just repeats again and as the song completely fades. This is the last guitar fill in the song. So it goes. Play that again. So it's, again, very similar to what we've already learned. So we do a... So you're going to do that slide here again from the 6th fret of the G and B string to the 5th fret. I think we played that lick earlier. So 6 to 5 to 3, back to 5, back to 3, and then we do this. We played that earlier, so that's going to be a hammer-on from 3 to 5 on the A, 3 to 5 on the D, to the 3rd fret of the G, and instead of last time I think we played this similar lick, we landed on the C note, which is the 5th fret of the G, but this time we're landing on the 5th fret of the D, so... So it's this very similar lick that we played earlier. So you do a bend up here on the G, come back down, 5, 3 of the G, to the 5th fret of the D, and a hammer on from 3 to 5. Hold it, and then that's basically the whole lick. So. then you play that double stop melody that we learned earlier as the song fades out. Whew. Wow, there's a lot of guitar fills. I don't think I've ever learned so many guitar fills in one song. So if you guys enjoyed it, I am going to put this eventually. It takes me, unfortunately, the tab software I use is a very slow process. So it takes me quite a few hours to tab these out, get them up on the Patreon channel, but I'm working on it, and I hope to eventually have all the KISS guitar lessons up there, all my guitar lessons tabbed out eventually, but it is a little bit of a time-consuming process, so just bear with me. But hope you guys enjoyed the lesson, and yeah, we completed the Rock and Roll Over album, so on to another KISS album. Maybe we should finish up Dress to Kill next. All right, thanks guys, appreciate it.